Now that we're past all the Summer Game Fest festivities, which were filled with some really cool trailers and announcements, I'd like to turn my attention to some games that we'll actually be able to play very soon. All of these games are releasing in 2024, and each one has a firm release date. So without further ado, some games that I want to play this year in order of release. This first game just got its date announced yesterday, July 11th, and it's a very special one, Horticular. Unleash your full creative potential in this garden building game that features cute animals, mischievous gnomes, and perhaps some ominous ancient magic. I was immediately hooked as soon as I booted up the demo, which I did play for like 5 hours last year. There's just that much to do. Slowly you'll turn this wasteland into a beautiful oasis teeming with critters, plants, water features, decorations, you name it. I'm very excited that I'm finally going to be able to play this one in just a few weeks. It's definitely going to keep me up many nights in a row, and when I do manage to get some sleep, I'll probably be dreaming of ways to improve my garden. Next up, 2 games coming to us on July 16th. Gestalt, Cinder, and Flock. The former is a steampunk Metroidvania which does have a free demo. I really like this painterly pixel art, the combat was fun, and the story seems to go pretty deep. A lot of Metroidvanias don't really have a direct story like this, they're more of a piece it together yourself type deal, but everything we know about the steam city of Canaan so far has me intrigued. This one's looking to be a pretty hefty experience that I can take my time with while I'm hiding inside from the summer heat. Flock also has a demo and is a much more chill experience. It's a creature collecting game that centers around building up your own flock and flying through the world rather than using your little buddies in battle. Most of the creatures are pretty fish-like or bird-like, and every time you find a new one, you'll first need to identify what species it is and do this little fishing mini-game. You also have a herd of hover sheep, which you can bring from pasture to graze, and then use their wool to knit different hats and scarves. Flying around in the demo is overall just a very nice and relaxing time. The music and sound effects are wonderful, and you can't go wrong with this one, honestly. Plus, you can play the whole thing in co-op if you'd like. Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn really wasn't on my radar at all until I played the demo as part of Steam's June Next Fest, and I think it could end up being a really fun action-adventure game, a Souls-light as they're calling it. First of all, the demo ran perfectly on my 5-year-old mid-range PC, and the story actually kept my attention right off the bat. Basically, a door to the underworld was opened and the dead are now making their way into the human realm. Things aren't looking too hot. Then we meet our little flying fox companion and learn some cool movement abilities that we can use to get around and sprinkle in during combat. Definitely curious to see how Flintlock performs around launch and if it turns out to be the kind of game I'm expecting or if it's got a few surprises up its sleeve. Then, a week later, on July 23rd, comes CONSCRIPT. Now, I really don't usually go for World War I or II stuff, but that's because I've never seen a take on the survival horror game quite like this. It's usually just tactics stuff. This game doesn't need zombies or monsters to be scary. The setting itself will do that. Maze-like trenches, dimly lit bunkers, and the horrors of war itself. Again, this one has a demo, and I only played it for a few minutes because I want to go into the full game as fresh as possible. Man, July really is filling up with releases, and it's starting to look like it might even be able to compete with May in terms of high quality and varied games. The last one I have for you for that month is Ranger on July 25th. Another one I discovered during Next Fest. This is a puzzly RPG with a snappy grid-based movement system. Another one I didn't need to play for very long in order to be sold on the whole idea. Here's a little blurb about the game from the Steam page that puts things a bit more eloquently than I could. Anything on the same row or column as Gemma moves when she moves, and can loop around the edge of the grid, creating both a playful sense of chaos and a regular stream of small, thoughtful puzzles that twist and play with the central mechanic. And that's exactly how a Ranger feels, thoughtful, chaotic, and whimsical. One of the devs working on the game is actually the artist from Braid, and I can totally see those inspirations here too. Good stuff. Skipping ahead to September, Chef RPG is coming to early access on September 12th. Now, I've been going back and forth on whether or not I'm gonna wait for the full release, but after watching through this trailer, again, I think I'm gonna have to jump in sooner rather than later. I know that comparing games to Stardew Valley has gotten old by this point, but I have been looking for a game that makes me feel like I'm playing through that one for the first time again, and I think Chef RPG could come pretty close to doing just that. But it's definitely got its own thing going on too, managing your restaurant, cooking dishes, hunting and foraging, exploring this quaint cyberpunk seaside town. The design of the buildings are stunning. They were all created by someone who studied architecture, and this is a world that I want to get lost in. I'll probably make another video about it closer to launch for anyone who wants to know exactly what to expect out of early access. Another long-awaited game that I personally only discovered very recently, UFO 50, releases on September 18th. It's from the developers of the Spelunky series, and it's a collection of 50 single and multiplayer games that span a variety of genres, from platformers and shoot-em-ups to puzzle games, roguelites, and RPGs. I'll admit I was skeptical at first. Why would I want to play a bunch of random little games instead of a single big and complete one? But after watching this developer commentary video, the idea actually sounds really cool and well thought out. Each game is unlocked from the very beginning, and they're not just mini-games. Each one has an intro and an ending. There are sequels and recurring characters. There's even lore about the fictional company that developed all these games back in the 80s. For someone who's been struggling to really finish any games that I've played recently, this could be a great thing for me or a really bad one. But either way, I think I'll at least have some fun with UFO 50. Have I ever played a Silent Hill game before? No. Am I gonna pay $70 for the remake of Silent Hill 2 in October? Absolutely not. But I do hope the series gets sort of a second wave of hype like Resident Evil has over the past few years, and that some of the original games are brought onto Steam. It's coming out on October 8th, and I don't really know what the general sentiment is from fans of the series, but I think it looks fun. Guess I'll probably wait for the reviews and a sale, or maybe I'll just go play Resident Evil 4. A while ago, I promised someone in a comment that I would play Persona 5. I still haven't done that, but maybe I'll finally dive into Atlus's catalog with their brand new series, Metaphor ReFantazio, the last game on this list and one that completely intimidates me. I don't even know how you would begin to describe this vibe other than just flat out awesome. It seems very similar gameplay-wise to what I do know about Persona, going on quests, diving into dungeons, and hunting for treasure by day, and then strengthening your relationships and bonding with the characters at nighttime. I guess we don't really know if this is a series or a standalone thing yet, but it just looks too cool to pass by, so maybe I would actually pay $70 for this one. Then again, Persona 5 Royal beckons me from the depths of my wishlist. I'm sure we'll be getting a lot more 2024 release date announcements over the next couple months, but for now, these are my most anticipated games that are definitely coming out in 2024. We'll see if that statement still holds up at the end of the year, I guess.